Hawaii isn't one place, it's 8 main islands, and each one has its own personality, its own official color, and its own flower. In this video, we'll go island by island, from the smallest and most private to the largest and youngest, and explain what each color and flower means, why it was chosen, and how they still show up in Hawaiian art and clothing today. We're Kahana Designs, a native Hawaiian-owned studio in Kailua-Kona on the Big Island. Let's begin. There are 8 main Hawaiian islands. From northwest to southeast, they are Niʻihau, Kauaʻi, Oʻahu, Molokaʻi, Lānaʻi, Maui, Kahoʻolawe, and Hawaiʻi Island, the one most people call the Big Island. 7 of them are inhabited. They sit at the southeastern end of a chain of more than 120 volcanoes stretching roughly 3,800 miles across the North Pacific. The islands were built by a hotspot, a plume of hot material deep inside the Earth. The Pacific Plate drifts slowly northwest over that plume, and each volcano is carried away from its heat source while a new one rises behind it. That's why the islands get younger as you travel southeast. Volcanism on Kauaʻi ended about 3.8 million years ago. On the Big Island, it hasn't ended at all. Each island is represented by a color and by a plant that grows there, usually the plant the color comes from. These pairings are woven into lei-making, into festival tradition, and into the island courts that appear at ceremonies and parades, where a representative for each island wears that island's color and its lei. The idea is simple and very Hawaiian. The emblem grows out of the land itself. A color isn't decoration, it's a description of a place. When you learn the 8 pairings, you can read a lineup of lei and know exactly which island each one is speaking for. Here they are, one by one, in island order. Niʻihau is the smallest inhabited main island and the most private. It's been in the same family's hands since 1864, which is why it's often called the Forbidden Isle. Its color is white, Keʻokeʻo, and unlike every other island, its emblem isn't a flower at all. It's a shell. Niʻihau's beaches produce tiny shells that residents string into lei, and the island's isolation is a large part of why that tradition survives intact. Niʻihau also keeps its own dialect of the Hawaiian language. When you see white in an island lineup, you're looking at the island that stayed the most itself. Kauaʻi is the oldest of the main islands and the greenest. About 97% of it is undeveloped mountain and rainforest, which is how it earned the name the Garden Isle. Its color is purple poni. The purple comes from the Mokihana, a small green-purple berry from a tree found naturally nowhere else on Earth but Kauaʻi. The berry carries a strong anise scent, like licorice, and it holds that fragrance for a very long time after it's picked. Mokihana berries are usually braided with glossy male vine, a lei that smells like the forest it came from. Because the berries can irritate skin, the lei is traditionally worn over clothing. That's Kauaʻi's whole character in one strand, old, wet, green, and unmistakably its own. Oʻahu is the gathering place, home to roughly 72% of everyone who lives in Hawaii, and to Honolulu, Waikiki, and Pearl Harbor. Its color is yellow, melemele, and its flower is the ʻIlima, a small, papery, apricot yellow bloom in the hibiscus family. Here's why that matters. A single ʻIlima lei can take between 500 and 1,000 individual flowers, each one strung by hand, and the finished lei is so delicate it can tear in a strong breeze. Because of the labor and the fragility, ʻIlima was historically the lei of high chiefs. It's still called the royal lei. Yellow on Oʻahu isn't sunshine. It's rank, patience, and 1,000 tiny flowers. Molokaʻi is the friendly isle, and it's often called the most Hawaiian island. It has a higher share of residents of Hawaiian ancestry than anywhere else, and only around 7,000 people in total. It's widely held to be the birthplace of hula. Tradition says the goddess of hula danced it first on a hill on the island's west end. Molokaʻi's color is green, ʻŌmaomao, from the blossom of the kukui, the candlenut tree. Kukui is a whole toolkit in one plant. Its oily nuts were burned for light, each nut giving 2 to 3 minutes of flame. Its nuts and bark dyed bark cloth, and its pale silvery green leaves stand out on a hillside from miles away. Molokaʻi is also home to the Kalaupapa Peninsula, where people with leprosy were quarantined from 1866 until 1969. It's a national park now. Lānaʻi is the Pineapple Isle. For most of the 20th century, essentially the entire island was a pineapple plantation. At its peak, it produced around 75% of the world's exported pineapples. Rising labor and land costs ended that, and the last commercial operations were phased out in 1992. Lānaʻi's color is orange, ʻAlani, and its emblem is the Kaunaʻoa, a native dodder. It's an unusual choice. Kaunaʻoa is a leafless, rootless orange vine that grows in tangled mats along the coast, feeding on other plants. No showy flower, no fragrance, just bright orange strands that get twisted straight into a lei. It's a plant that survives on very little, on an island that's had to do the same. Maui is the Valley Isle, named for the central plain between Haleakala and the West Maui Mountains, where most of its towns sit. Its color is pink, ʻAkala, from the Lokelani, the small pink damask rose. And here's the twist that surprises most people. The Lokelani is the only island emblem that isn't native to Hawaii. It's a damask rose carried by the Spanish to the Americas and brought to Hawaii in the early 1800s. Hawaiians took it in, grew it, loved it, and made it Maui's own. It's intensely fragrant and genuinely difficult to grow here, which makes a real Lokelani lei rare. An adopted flower that became an emblem is a very Hawaiian story in itself. Kahoʻolawe is the smallest of the 8, and it has no permanent residence. Its color is gray, ʻāhinahina, from the Hinahina, a low silvery beach heliotrope, and gray is the right color for this island's history. Kahoʻolawe was honored by Hawaiians as a physical form of the ocean and navigation god, and used for ceremony and for training navigators. After the attack on Pearl Harbor, the United States military turned it into a live-fire bombing range, and it was shelled for decades. In 1976, a group called the Protect Kahoʻolawe Ohana began landing on the island to stop it, and 2 of them, George Helm and Kimo Mitchell, were lost at sea. The bombing ended in 1990. Congress ended all military use in 1993, and the island returned to the state of Hawaii in 1994, held in trust. More than 9 million pounds of unexploded ordnance have been cleared since. The work continues. Hawaiʻi Island, the Big Island, is the youngest and by far the largest, at just over 4,000 square miles, nearly twice the combined area of all the other islands. It's still growing, its color is red, and its flower is the Lehua, the brilliant red blossom of the ʻŌhiʻa tree. ʻŌhiʻa is among the first plants to colonize fresh lava. It pushes up through bare black rock and blooms, and its red flower against new stone is the visual signature of this island and a symbol of new life rising out of destruction. There's a well-known Hawaiian tradition that picking a lehua blossom brings rain, tied to a story of the flower and the tree as lovers who must not be separated. And offshore to the southeast, a submarine volcano is already building. The chain isn't finished. Let's come back to Niʻihau's shells because they make the most valuable lei in Hawaii. 3 shells are commonly used: momi, laiki, and Kahoʻolawe. Momi is fairly common. Hot pink and black Kahoʻolawe are very rare. The shells are extraordinarily small. A single lei can take thousands of them and hundreds of hours, and some pieces take up to 6 months to finish. Every shell is gathered by hand off Niʻihau's beaches, sorted by size and color, drilled and strung. A finished Niʻihau shell lei can sell for a few $100s, or well over 10,000, and they are the only shell necklaces in the world that can be insured. They were first brought to the attention of the courts of Europe in 1887, when Queen Kapiolani travelled to London for Queen Victoria's Jubilee. Once you know the 8 pairings, you start seeing them everywhere, and they're one of the most useful things you can know about Hawaiian design. When a shirt runs yellow with small papery blooms, it's speaking for Oʻahu. Purple berries braided with vine means Kauaʻi. Red blossoms on black rock is the Big Island, every time. At our studio in Kailua-Kona, we design Hawaiian culture shirts and digital oil painting prints. And the island emblems are the vocabulary we work in, because they carry real meaning, not just a tropical look. If you wear an island's color, you're saying something specific about a specific place. That's worth getting right. 8 islands, 8 colors, 8 plants. 1 chain, still growing. If you'd like to see how we bring these into Hawaiian culture shirts, mugs, jewelry, and digital oil painting prints, visit kahana.shop. We're a native Hawaiian-owned studio in Kailua-Kona, and everything we make starts with a story like these. Thank you for watching, and take care of these places if you visit them.